Good evening and welcome to the June 21st council meeting. If you'd please stand, Councilman Flores is going to lead us in the flag salute.
Good evening, everybody. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Interim City Manager Arroyo, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam Mayor, no changes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If you'll all note in our packet under information is the Economic Development Report for June. I encourage you all to look at that. It has some very interesting information. Under public announcements, first, as a reminder, Chino's Summer Nights is back and is happening every Friday night at 6:30 with food and retail booths available for all attendees. This week, we'll be showing the movie Sing 2 right here on the City Hall lawn located at 13220 Central Avenue. Please make sure you bring a lawn chair and or a blanket. And if you have any questions, please call 909-334-3256 or visit www.cityofchino.org/movies. Additionally, as a reminder, this week marks the first installation of the Kiwanis Summer Concerts on the Lawn series, which is held from 7 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays, right here again at City Hall lawn, with the exception of the August 5th concert, which will be held at Founders Park, located at 8151 West Preserve Loop. For this Thursday, June 23rd, Turn the Page, which is a Bob Seger tribute band, will be performing with future acts, including on June 30th, Earth to Mars, which is a Bruno Mars tribute. On July 7th, Soto, R&B and Latin. July 14th, Ladies of the 80s, which is the 80s music and Go-Go's tribute. July 21st, Fortunate Son, Creedence Clearwater Revival tribute. July 28th, Bonfire, AC/DC tribute, and on August 5th at Founders Park, Jumping Jack Flash, which is a Rolling Stones tribute. Food vendors will be available, so make sure to bring a blanket or lawn chair. For any questions, please call 909-334-3256 or visit www.cityofchino.org/concerts. Also, please make sure you come out to our highly anticipated Chino Fireworks Spectacular. This is a 2-day event spanning July 1st to July 2nd. The Friday, July 1st portion of the event begins at 4 p.m. and ends at 10 p.m. at Ayala Park, located at 14225 Central Avenue. On that day, attendees can expect food, retail, and information vendors, carnival rides, and games. Then on Saturday, July 2nd, from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m., at again Ayala Park, attendees can again enjoy a food, retail, information vendors, carnival rides, and games. However, there will also be a musical performances, a military recognition ceremony, and of course a fantastic fireworks show beginning at 9 p.m. For all questions on that event, please call 909-334-3258 or visit www.cityofchino.org/FS. And we hope to see you there. And lastly, as a couple public service announcements, first, if you happen to see any sprinklers broken, street lights out, potholes, graffiti, or any other maintenance-related issues, I encourage you to please contact our Public Works Services Department by visiting our website at www.cityofchino.org/report. Here you can submit a quick service request so that our staff can address the issue right away. If you cannot access the internet, please call our Public Works Services Division at 909-334-3266. While we proactively maintain our infrastructure, we do have thousands of sprinklers, approximately 8,500 streetlights, and hundreds of miles of streets. So there may be times when we miss deficiencies that should have been addressed. Any assistance from our community in helping us identify and correct these problems is greatly appreciated and will contribute to us making Chino the best community it can be. Second, please make note that City Hall will be closed on Monday, July 4th in observation of Independence Day. City Hall will reopen the following day on Tuesday, July 5th at its regular operating hours at 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Next on our agenda is public comments. I have a written request to speak from Pastor Roy Robbins from Christ Lutheran Church. He's going to lead us in an invocation. I invite anyone who would like to join us to please stand.
Here I was just saying how I wish I could go first one time, and here I am getting to go first. It's a pleasure to be here, as always. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking for your guidance and your wisdom as this meeting begins. It's most likely been a long day for all those in attendance, so we ask for patience and a spirit of charity this evening. Thank you for the leadership represented here in these chambers, but also for those who tend to the business of the city each and every day. Fill us with compassion and insight as decisions are made that affect the city and beyond. Remind us that all that is accomplished here this evening is for your glory and for the service of our community. May thy kingdom come and thy will be done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Roy. This chair doesn't hold very easy. We have some special guests this evening with us. So I'd like to invite up Boy Scout Troop 201. They're here working on a badge. So gentlemen, if you would please come forward, and one of you tell us about your badges.
Hi, we're here for Troop 201. We're about to go to summer camp, and to do that, we're preparing with our prerequisites. Right now, we're doing the merit badge communications, and for that, we have to tune in to one of your guys' meetings. So we're just in the back taking notes. But yeah, that's about it.
Introduce yourselves.
Oh, that's right. My bad. Hi, my name's Tommy. I'm ASPL. I'm in the Dragons Patrol.
Tommy, what's your last name?
Baker.
Where do you go to school?
Allegiance Steam Academy.
Okay, thank you. Next.
I am Matthew Perez. I am assistant patrol leader for our Dragons Patrol, and I go to Oaks Middle School.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Earl Lease. I am in the Woodchucks Patrol, and I'm about to go to Magnolia Junior High.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Chase Wilson. I am the assistant patrol leader for the lightning bolts, and the school that I go to is San Jose Charter Academy in West Covina.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being here this evening. Those are the only written requests I have to speak. Is there anyone who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. First item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Do any council members wish to have items pulled? Seeing none, then I would entertain a motion in a second, please. There's a motion from Councilperson Pocock, second from Councilperson Flores. And the consent calendar passes unanimously. Under new business, item number 10, fiscal year 22-23 city budget and the appropriations limit. This item is to adopt resolution number 2022-042, 2022-043, and 2022-044, approving and adopting the city budget for fiscal year 22-23, approving and setting the appropriations limit for fiscal year 22-23, and approving amendments to the city's classification and salary schedule. Staff report this evening will be provided by our interim city manager, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, Anthony Arroyo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. On behalf of the Finance Department and city staff, I am pleased to present this evening the fiscal year 2022-23 budget and the 5-year capital improvement plan. The budget presented today has been developed under the city's strategic plan that was recently adopted by the City Council. The organizational value of fiscal responsibility is a key value underlying the city's budget development process. The budget before you presents the finances of the entire city and includes changes that were made as a result of the budget workshop on May 19th. As for the general fund, fiscal year 21-22 is projected to have a surplus of $3.3 million of ongoing revenues over expenditures. Additionally, one-time money, mostly ARPA federal funds the city has received, bring the total increase in general fund reserves to $8.5 million for the year. This increase brings the general fund ending reserves to $67.1 million. For fiscal year 22-23, the general fund is proposed to have a deficit of $3.2 million for ongoing expenditures over revenues. However, one-time revenues, mostly ARPA funds, will bring this deficit to $800,000 for the year. The city will draw from reserves to provide a balanced budget. Some of the additional items in the budget that were results of what was discussed at the May 19th workshop include 5 additional community services employees to work with the students on a RISE, or commonly known as SOAR program, providing email addresses for all city staff, the restroom maintenance and cleaning contract, which will be presented later this evening, the additional 11 employees for parks maintenance, a salary upgrade and title change for the transportation manager, and additional sales tax revenue of $1.6 million for the 22-23 fiscal year. The general fund will be contributing $3.9 million to various projects, with $2.5 million of this being dedicated to Ayala Park improvements. As discussed during the workshop, the budget also contains 7 new full-time positions, including 2 corporals, 2 IT positions, a salary increase for the IT manager, 2 public works positions, and 1 assistant project coordinator in community services. Salary increases are also included for 4 EMT positions, which include the directors of community services, finance, human resources, and public works. This will restore the internal equity of these positions that existed a few years ago. The total cost of these position changes is $932,000, and I want to personally thank the council for addressing these requests and additions. In addition, as a result of these positions added to the budget based on a workshop and a review of some duties and responsibilities of some positions, staff will present to you later this evening a request for additional reclassifications. The budget also contains $16.3 million for street and traffic projects, including $1.5 million for street rehabilitation projects and $1.1 million for Kimball Avenue improvements. The fiscal year 22-23 budget sets aside $2 million for disaster emergency reserve and $12.6 million for working reserve, with a total general fund reserves projected to be $61.4 million, or approximately 60.3% of the proposed operating cost for fiscal year 22-23. That concludes my presentation. Should there be any questions, each department director is available to respond to any inquiries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, questions, comments? Okay, do we have any comments or questions from the audience regarding the budget? This is a pretty important budget, and as you've heard, we're going to have some pretty heavy expenditures this year, which are necessary, especially in our infrastructure. We've worked very, very hard for many years to build up our reserves so that we're safe, especially in light of a recession again. But it's time that we spend some of those funds. We do have to be careful, though, and we've talked about that as a council. If the projected funding is as has been projected over the next 5 years or so, we are going to be eating up a lot of our reserves. So it's imperative that we work very, very hard to attract more businesses for sales tax revenue, and that we watch our spending carefully so that we don't dip very, very low. The way it's projected right now, we do have $61 million in reserves at the end of this year. That's what's projected. But in 5 years, we could drop as low as $24 million. So we've got to work really, really hard on our economic development to bring in even more revenue and be very careful about our expenditures. But I want to thank all the staff for all of your hard work in putting together this budget. I know it's a grueling task, and thank you, Mr. Arroyo, for overseeing it. So with that, I would encourage a motion and a second to approve the 22-23 city budget. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilmember Pocock, and the budget passes unanimously. Item number 11, reclassification and amendment to the city's classification and salary schedule. This is to adopt resolution number 22-045, amending the city's classification and salary schedule to reclassify positions. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Acting Director of Human Resources, Risk Management, Debbie Pacheco.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to report on additional position change requests. The reclassification of management assistant to council liaison is due to the growing demands of the city council at any given time. This position will be the primary source of communicating to the council, a liaison between staff and council, and will provide administrative support to the city manager. The reclassification of part-time management aide to full-time human resources technician will allow the department to become more innovative and meet recruiting, retaining, and training demands during these post-pandemic times. As the city has continued to grow and recover from the pandemic, human resources staff has been heavily impacted with increased workloads. The Human Resources Department touches every facet of city operations and the services it provides its citizens through its employees. Recruiting, professional development, training, risk management, employee benefits, and California employment and compliance laws are all areas that demand human resources attention. The Human Resources Department has made a concerted effort to be fiscally responsible by reevaluating departmental needs and downgrading positions to provide salary savings when feasible. Over the last 6 years, a Deputy Director of Human Resources and a Senior Human Resources Analyst position were downgraded, providing over $55,000 of savings to the city annually. The reclassification of the project manager to Parks and Capital Projects Manager will recognize the additional duties and responsibilities that will be moved to this position as the Community Services Department undergoes upcoming changes, with the director transitioning to become the next city manager. The downgrade of the vacant Assistant Public Works Services Manager to Public Works Supervisor will allow the department to streamline the divisions operating out of the Public Works yard. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Debbie. Are there any questions of Debbie this evening? Okay, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilmember Flores. And item number 11 passes unanimously. Item number 12, annual contract amendments, renewals, and purchase orders. This is to authorize the city manager to enter into annual contract amendments or renewals and to issue blanket purchase orders for fiscal year 2022-23. Our report this evening will be provided by our Director of Finance, Rob Burns.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Included in the budget just adopted for fiscal year 22-23 are appropriations for regular ongoing services utilized by staff in carrying out the goals and objectives established for their departments. Per the city's purchasing policy, contracts and purchase orders over $50,000 require council approval. Staff has therefore prepared a comprehensive list of known contracts and purchase orders at this time for your approval. These contracts are for routine services that are necessary for regular ongoing operations in the city. It's therefore staff's recommendation that you authorize the city manager to enter into these annual contracts and execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions of our Director of Finance regarding these ongoing amendments or renewals? Okay, entertain a motion in a second, please. Motion from Councilmember Pocock, second from Councilmember Flores. Passes unanimously. Item number 13, Award professional services agreement for the Comprehensive General Plan Update and Environmental Impact Report. This is to award a new professional services agreement to Diet and Badia for fiscal year 22-23 for the Development Services Department. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Director of Development Services, Nick Liguori.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm very pleased to be presenting to you tonight a proposal to initiate a comprehensive update to the city's general plan. The city's last comprehensive general plan update was completed in 2010. On February 9th, 2022, the city formally released an RFP for a comprehensive general plan update and related EIR services. And the city received two proposals, one from Diet and Badia and the other one from PlaceWorks. Both of these firms are highly regarded in the planning profession and have extensive experience in California. The competing firms were evaluated based upon key staff, their knowledge, experience, availability, technical ability, references, costs, and understanding of the scope of work and the work plan. Interviews were conducted by a panel that included several city staff members and 2 council members as observers. It was determined through that process that Diet and Badia has a very robust community engagement and public outreach activity proposed and a good sense of the current issues facing the city. The firm also clearly demonstrated their knowledge and ability to address all of the tasks identified in the RFP. Based upon the evaluation and interview scores, the committee selected Diet and Badia of Oakland, California as the most responsive and responsible proposer. The proposed scope of work also includes the immediate development of the overlay zone standards to address the provisions of the city's updated housing element based upon the passage of Measure Y, as well as the development of a web-based version of the general plan to provide a user-friendly public interface. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council award a professional services agreement to Diet and Badia of Oakland, California in the amount of $1,609,597 and authorize up to $80,480 for project contingencies for a total contract not to exceed $1,690,077 for the comprehensive general plan update and other related services as outlined in the RFP. That concludes my report. I'm also happy to present Mr. Andrew Hill, Principal and Project Manager with Diet and Badia, who's in the audience tonight, and both of us are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like to say a few words this evening?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Andrew Hill with Diet and Badia. Just quickly, we are very excited to work with the community, with the decision makers of Chino and city staff on this project. Chino has a tremendous range of opportunities and challenges facing it. And as Nick said, my firm has an extensive track record on general plans and zoning, and we can bring a rich array of experience to help you address these challenges.
Thank you very much. Walt?
Excuse me, sir. Could you, for benefit of the public, explain the process of this, please?
Sure. Without taking too much time, I would say the project's going to be completed in 4 key phases. The first phase is all about understanding issues and opportunities and working with the whole of the community, a complete range of stakeholders to develop a shared vision for the future of the community. The second phase is about exploring different strategies and options that can help achieve that vision, weighing the trade-offs, and building consensus around a preferred set of strategies to implement that vision. And then the third phase is actually the nuts and bolts of developing the plan, updating the zoning code, and bringing a draft forward for public review and comment. And as part of that phase, we'll also be doing environmental review required under state law. And then the fourth phase is taking on board the feedback that we've heard from the community and presenting the results to the Planning Commission and to City Council for approval. So in a nutshell, that would be the process.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure, Karen.
Thank you. So that being said, I was reading the scope of work in the proposal, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a council workshop included in some of the scope of work. When do you think that will happen for us, and how long do you think the project to update the general plan will take from beginning to when you can anticipate we be adopting it?
Sure. So the anticipated schedule is 24 months. So starting up right after the 4th of July holiday and being completed by the end of June of 2024. And actually, at the end of each key phase, we'll be coming back to Chino decision makers to report out on what we've heard from the community and to seek your approval to move forward with the next step of the process. So not just one study session, but multiple certainly at the end of each phase, and definitely multiple throughout the process.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Well, sitting in on the interviews was certainly interesting, and we had never done that before, so I found it fascinating. I was very impressed with your firm, especially the public communication part. I think we're going to be very, very happy with the outreach to the public. This is a very, very important update, and so I think we need as much involvement as possible. Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to add the same thing you said, Mayor. I was a part of the panel as well, and I think, as many of you know, this council is very, resident-driven, and, Nick said it best when he said you guys offered a very robust community engagement and public outreach activity, and I think I'm a part of this general plan update. The council is obviously involved in it, but we definitely want the people to be involved in this update as well, so I appreciate your attentiveness to our residents as well, so thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here, Andrew. Okay, with that, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson Flores. And the item passes unanimously. Item number 14, amendment to professional services agreement, general plan check, and other related engineering services. Approve the amendment to the professional services agreement with Engineering Resources of Southern California, Redlands, California, in the amount of $100,000, or a total contract amount not to exceed $560,000 for general plan check and other related engineering services through June 30th, 2022. Don't you mean 2023? I think that was a typo. That's this year.
It's this year. That's correct.
Okay. Report this evening. Well, it's not going to be Nick Lagori.
No.
Okay. Jesus.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The city currently has a professional services agreement with Engineering Resources of Southern California, Incorporated, for general plan check services. The total contract amount is currently $460,000 for fiscal year 2021-2022. The high level of development activity the city continues to experience in areas such as the preserve has resulted in a larger than initially anticipated amount of plan check services rendered by the consultant over the past several months. For this reason, staff is requesting an additional $100,000 to ensure the cost of the consultant's services are covered through the end of the current fiscal year, which ends June 30th, 2022. Please note there's no direct fiscal impact to the general fund, as these additional costs are completely offset by the plan check fee revenues collected by the city staff from developers. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jesus. Questions or comments? Okay, entertain a motion in a second. This is running awfully smooth. Motion from Councilperson Comstock. Maybe I shouldn't say that yet.
Hold on, Mayor.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio.
We know it's your anniversary, so that's why it's moving smoothly.
Okay. Passes unanimously. It is. Today is, it's Bob and my anniversary, 47 years. I guarantee you that man deserves a trophy. Item number 15, award professional services agreement for the Development Services Department, Building Code Services Incorporated. Award a new professional services agreement to Building Code Services Incorporated for fiscal year 2022-23 for the Development Services Department. You guys always put down Nick, and it's not Nick. Staff report, please.
Yes, Mary Braun, Management Analyst. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. For several years, the Development Services Department has utilized Building Code Services Incorporated, also known as BCS, for building plan review. The services provided include performing building plan check as needed, determining plan conformance with city codes and standards, turning around plan review comments quickly and consistently, ensuring plan corrections have been resolved and addressed satisfactorily, and working efficiently with city staff and permit applicants. The professional services contract with BCS expires on June 30th, 2022. For this reason, staff prepared a request for proposal to obtain a firm to continue these services. The RFP was published on Planet Bids on April 4th, 2022. The city received 15 proposals. The proposals were evaluated and ranked by a selection committee based on qualifications, past performance, responsiveness, and competitive pricing. It was determined that BCS was the highest-ranked proposer. BCS has extensive knowledge of the city's plan review process and currently provides the plan check services for existing and ongoing city projects. Staff is proposing to continue its services with BCS to maintain consistency and the timely delivery of project plan review. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation to the City Council to award a professional services agreement to Building Code Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $400,000 for building plan check and related services. Costs associated with this agreement are offset by revenues from plan check fees charged to applicants. Staff recommends council to authorize the city manager to execute the necessary documents on behalf of the city. The initial term of the agreement is 1 year, July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, with the option to extend to 2 additional 1 fiscal year periods. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Okay, motion and a second, please. Motion from Councilperson Pocock, second from Councilperson Flores, passes unanimously. Item number 16, award of contract citywide traffic signal maintenance services. This is to award a contract to Unix LLC, Riverside, California, in the amount of $1,400,000 for citywide traffic signal maintenance services. Our staff report this evening will be by Dennis Rawls, Transportation Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Good evening. Tonight before you is a consideration for the award of an annual maintenance contract for traffic signal system maintenance. Currently, our traffic signal system maintenance includes 130 traffic signals, 128 battery backup systems, 13 electronic radar feedback signs, 11 communication cabinet services, 4 lighted crosswalks, and 3 flashing beacon systems. Traffic signal maintenance, as you can imagine, must be performed by highly trained and qualified and experienced technicians. As our community continues to grow year over year, so do our maintenance costs and operational costs of that traffic signal system. Routine maintenance helps contribute to our positive city image with timely repairs and maintaining our signals proactively. Also, our dedicated maintenance team that we have been using helps achieve superior customer service by ensuring that timely response to concerns is provided to the community. A multi-year contract also helps contribute to our financial stability by solidifying unit costs for services through a multi-year contract. And finally, our public-private partnership helps us establish our public service excellence. This year, the maintenance contract was put out through a low bid process. This is new for this contract type. Previously, we've used an evaluation bid process to solicit bids, proposals from contractors to perform the service. However, because of the repair nature and construction nature, it was determined that the low bid process in Public Works Public Bidding Code was required for this contract. As a result of this change, staff developed an exhaustive bid list for nearly all repairs anticipated or experienced previously through maintenance in the city for the signals. And as a result, we published a notice of bid on March 28th, 2022, and also published in the Chino Champion on April 2nd and April 16th, soliciting firms for renewal of our services, of our maintenance services, which is due to expire at the end of this fiscal year. The bids were closed on April 16th, 2020, which was about one month, and we received 1 bid. Staff believes that the sole bidder is a result of the unfamiliar low bid format for this type of work and the exhaustive bid list that was provided in the proposal. It's important to note that staff received no questions concerning the bid process or timeline during the bid process from any other applicants. Also, it's important to note that staff did reach out to 5 qualified firms in the area known to provide this service, and that with that, still only one bidder bid on our project. That bid was reviewed by staff. The unit costs were reviewed and found to be within range of what staff's expectations for those bid items were. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation that the sole bidder, Unix LLC of Riverside, be found to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. It should also be noted that Unix was previously known as Siemens, who currently holds our contract for signal maintenance in the city. Therefore, staff recommends that City Council award Unix LLC of Riverside a contract not to exceed $1.4 million for routine maintenance and extraordinary repair maintenance of our traffic signal system, authorize an option to extend the contract for 4 one-year consecutive extensions for a total of up to 5 years, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Dennis, was Siemens sold? Was it bought by a company, or did they just change their name?
Their maintenance arm, their signal maintenance arm, was bought up by the company known as now as Unix.
Okay.
Any idea, Dennis, why nobody decided to bid on it except for one company?
We're uncertain specifically, but we think it's because that traditionally this is a performance-based rating, as other maintenance contracts typically are. But because this year it was determined that the lowest bidder process be used because of the Public Works contracting code, that might have contributed to the change in the lack of response. It's also for that reason that staff created an exhaustive bid list. I believe there's over 300 bid items in the contract. That may have also contributed to the fact that we only received one bid. However, that wasn't known to Unix before bidding, so they still would have bid competitively until we actually opened bids that day. So staff still does feel confident in awarding the contract to Unix.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, Karen?
So Dennis, I know that, but the scope of work was actually exhausting when I was reading it, like everything from cleaning out bees out of cabinets to repairing loops. So I know that Siemens has been responsive to that turnaround. Have we had any problems with them in the past, or like if we have the broken loops at traffic signals, have they been able to turn that around according to their contractual agreement? Have we had any problems with them?
We've had little to no problems. In fact, I would categorize their performance as stellar.
Okay.
They have been extremely responsive. They have dedicated technicians dedicated to the city of Chino. So staff routinely calls them directly. In fact, they almost feel like they're a part of staff often. So it's because of these reasons and other ones outlined in the staff report that staff feels confident awarding this contract.
Thank you, Dennis.
So they have retained the prior employees?
Yes.
Okay. Walt?
Thank you, Dennis. Is this a 24/7 contract, or in case a light gets knocked down or goes out of business in the middle of a weekend or something, they come out and take care of it?
Yes, the contract actually contains 2 major portions. One is preventative maintenance. There is a technician or technicians that will visit every traffic signal every month to perform routine maintenance on that signal. There's also an arm of the contract that specifically is for addressing concerns from staff, including damage caused by accidents or wear and tear, or even assisting with construction activities. For example, when major road work is performed near an intersection, oftentimes the traffic signal is modified in its operation. That modification is performed typically by this contract.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Then if there's no more questions, I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilperson Flores, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. And item number 16 passes unanimously. Stay there, Dennis. Item number 17, Local Roadway Safety Plan. This is to present the draft Local Roadway Safety Plan, and once again, it's presented by our Transportation Manager, Dennis Rawls.
Good evening once again. This is a presentation on our Local Roadway Safety Plan draft report. This is a project that started several months ago. This plan is required now by the state when agencies apply for grant funding for addressing highway safety and roadway improvements. We received a grant for $72,000. We had to match $8,000 for a total of $80,000 to create this report. And before you tonight is the draft results of that report. The local roadway safety plan is a statewide initiative that uses data-driven traffic analysis. We review collision data from throughout the city. This particular study reviewed the last 3 years of collision data to develop an analysis of where problem areas occur. And in doing so, identify those locations where we have substantial or significantly more accidents than typical, and to help identify the 5 E's of traffic safety: engineering, enforcement, education, emergency services, and emerging technologies, to help counteract these collisions that cause all of these accidents. The development of this plan, I said 3 years, I'm mistaken, it's 5 years, 2016, 2020. Development of the plan is laid out in front of you. The collision data was collected by our consultant, Kimley Horn. We received input from stakeholders such as the public through complaints for traffic safety issues. Public safety, the TAC committee also reviewed this. The data analysis was performed, locations of interest were identified, and the high ranking, we chose a bunch of symbiotic or representative locations that we then field visited with our consultant staff to look for what kind of things are happening out in the field that could be contributing to these accidents. And then with that, the consultant took that back, married the collision patterns with countermeasures, and have created the draft local roadway safety plan, which is included in the staff report tonight. The analysis included not only collision data, but reviewing classification of roadways, looked at specifically fatal and severe injury collisions. We reviewed the density of collisions on a heat map. We looked at the collision types, whether or not they involved vehicle, bicycle, pedestrians, or other objects, the degree of injury, the primary collision factors, whether bicyclists or pedestrians were injured during an accident, and ranked those locations in a matrix. Like I mentioned, we then looked at traffic patterns, collision patterns, and married those up with previously studied countermeasures. Some of those are listed on this table here, including everything from installing a brand new traffic signal to doing things such as just improving traffic signal timing. So all of these are are listed out in the report to help identify potential countermeasures that can be used at each intersection or location to address some of our high collision areas in the city. Although it primarily focuses on improvements to the infrastructure, it also includes recommendations for enforcement, such as target enforcement, and public outreach programs, such as safe routes to schools, educational programs, emergency services in terms of identifying potential incident management and traffic control remedies, and addressing, implementing emerging technologies to help combat high collision areas. As I mentioned, this report is become a necessary document when the city solicits grant funding to help address some of these issues. Some of the grants that are available for addressing traffic safety issues are highlighted here. The top one, the Highway Safety Improvement Program through the state and the federal government's FAST Act, is the key grant program for which this report is necessary. A quick highlight of some of the case study intersections we reviewed at. First, we'll take a look at some of the high incident intersection locations. Those include the intersection of Central and Jefferson, where we reviewed 14 collisions. The amount of traffic per year, or average daily traffic per day, was 18,800 cars through that intersection. The major issue concerned left turn movements. Most of the collisions we saw involved something to do with a left turn movement. And it's important to note that this is a T intersection that's unsignalized currently. So in a case like this, what we are seeing as a pattern are cars making left turns in any other direction and end up in a collision. Typically, that's because either through speed or a misjudgment of gap in traffic on the roadway. Further down is Central and Riverside, which has a much higher number of accidents, but a lower number of ADT. The high collision volume is anticipated to be with left turns. Most of those come by left turn collisions, and it's important to note that Central changes from 3 lanes to 2 lanes through that intersection. So we think that part of the concern there is that change from Central Avenue there. East End and Schaefer, this was a location we specifically required the consultant to look at after the fatal last year. And so we took a close look at this. The primary issue out there is, of course, speeding. Knuckle configuration, single vehicle collisions were the majority of the collisions out there. And it's important to note that although the city has taken several steps previously to help combat this, they still continue to be an issue. And then another location was Pipeline in Edison and Grand with 34 collisions, 81,000 cars per day, with truck traffic and red light running tending to be the major issues here. Also, Pipeline has some lane changes here, and there's some concern with the southbound right turn and visibility as you turn that corner, so we'll be taking a look at that as for an engineering solution. Some of the street segments include Central from Francis to Philadelphia, Mountain Avenue from the 60 to the Walnut, Philadelphia from Telephone to Central, and Pipeline from Edison to Eucalyptus, Riverside from 4th to Telephone. All these locations had a high number of accidents when compared to other locations similar to their design and function, and traffic load. And so in the report, we outline each of these locations in case studies and identify the contributing factors and match those up with countermeasures. Some of the countermeasures that are proposed inside this report include altering traffic signal timing, improving coordination. There's this traffic signal operation called a leading pedestrian interval. This is helpful for when pedestrian incidents tend to be high in the location. This allows the traffic signal to turn on the walk movement prior to turning the signal green for vehicle traffic. Often that time expires once the walking man disappears and changes to flashing don't walk. And then the vehicle traffic is often allowed to green and go. This allows the pedestrians to enter allows the traffic signal to give pedestrians the right of way in the intersection and allows vehicles to wait for pedestrians more cautiously. With several of our left turn issues, some of the proposed countermeasures including potentially prohibiting left turn movements. Some locations, the preferred method would be with a raised median. It's also the most costly. However, we can look at temporary measures such as delineators or bollards, especially where right-of-way may be an issue. Upgrading signage and striping throughout the city is almost a systematic and typical countermeasure. Flashing beacons are becoming more and more popular and found to be very effective at helping reduce collisions, especially related to pedestrian crossings. Additional street lighting was identified. Some of our locations in the city may experience the benefit of having an increased street lighting system. The inclusion of bike lanes to help protect bicyclists. The inclusion of crosswalks at intersections to help bring visibility to pedestrians crossing the street. And retroreflective signal backplates. You could see those on the Caltrans intersection, especially over at Central and the 60 freeway. The signals that they've recently put up have these new reflective backplates, and they're becoming more standardized with the signals. This helps with nighttime visibility. It also helps when the signal does experience a blackout. The reflective backplate helps alert the motorist that the traffic signal, although is still there, may be non-operable, and help with running the intersection should the malfunction occur. So with that, I'm here tonight really to present this plan to you, to solicit comments from you and the public for any areas that may be of concern to you, so that we make sure that we have incorporated that into this draft report. And we will review any countermeasures that we think are necessary. However, if there's also countermeasures you'd like us to look into, we certainly can. And with that, I'm happy to take that feedback now.
Thank you very much, Dennis. First, I'll ask if there's any input from the audience before we turn to the council. Does anyone in the audience have any comments to make on this item? Yes, sir. If you come up and tell us who you are, please.
Yes, I'm Richard Sherman. Messages to Dennis. My comment is about the bike lanes. I'm an avid cyclist on the streets, and I appreciate a lot of the bike lanes that we have here in Chino. If there's some sort of program or way of preventing people from turning right into bicyclists, I have that happen constantly. People turning left, people turning right. I wear a yellow reflective vest, and they still seem to come at me. Truck drivers on Schaefer Avenue, at Cypress Avenue, I understand they're not allowed to be there, but they do travel on Schaefer, heading east. And there's a lot of people running red lights when I'm trying to cross at the intersection. So it's tricky. I mean, you have to be extra alert when I'm out cycling. I'm trying to be healthy and be safe. So just some of the concerns I brought up about that.
Thank you. Well, we see that all the time, Mr. Sherman. It just seems like people disregard the signals anymore.
Everybody's in a hurry.
No.
They are. And they seem like they're annoyed at that I'm in their way.
I think they're annoyed that anybody's in their way.
All right.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience have any comments? Okay, seeing council comments, Karen?
Just want to thank you for this report. I actually learned a lot in reading it about different intersections throughout town. I also think that probably from my observations, I've particularly found the information interesting about Central Avenue from Philadelphia all the way down Riverside Drive. But I think it probably for our first responders validated a lot of our observations and things that we may or may not have known. And potentially I also learned some things about different intersections I didn't. So just thank you for the report.
Chris?
Hey, Dennis, one question I often get a lot, and more of a proposal than a question, is why doesn't the city of Chino have speed bumps? Why doesn't the city of Chino have speed bumps? And I guess for the public's sake and for those who are thinking of that when it comes to these countermeasures you were reviewing, can you tell us why speed bumps aren't necessarily a go-to countermeasure?
Sure, certainly, and thank you for that, because we often do get that request, even as staff, because speed bumps, while effective at helping speeds, they often have trade-offs. One of the things, first off, is that they're actually not a recognized traffic control device in neither the federal nor the state manual. Although there are lower cost means of installing them, they tend to be costly to operate, to install and maintain. Probably one of the major concerns that staff has is its impact on emergency response. In reducing speeds for most people, we're also reducing speeds for emergency response. You can imagine that an ambulance traveling to a home every second counts. Another concern that often comes up is where do we install those? Who's the lucky resident that gets that speed bump in front of their house? Because they do increase noise. You'll hear the thump of the cars coming through there. You may hear skidding as cars may not realize there's a speed bump there. And there's been some studies that suggest that although you may have a momentary reduction in speed at the speed bump, that oftentimes drivers will tend to make up that speed after or before the speed bump. And so that there's really a propensity maybe that speed bumps really cause more harm than good. So it's for those reasons that we prefer other measures to try to control speed first before resulting to things like speed bumps.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, the only other comment is when I looked at this map, the one that surprised me the most was when I looked at Ramona Avenue. It appears that almost at every major intersection on Ramona Avenue, there seems to be a lot of accidents. Is there any particular reason why you think that street has so many accidents? I mean, it looks like it has quite a bit on Edison, Schaefer, Chino Avenue, and then going up to Riverside.
That was an observation we had as well when we started seeing the analysis of the data. Each intersection's a little bit different, but typically it's a lot of sort of the same stuff we're hearing tonight, a lot of red light running, a lot of issues with left-hand turns. We have some projects that are ongoing and have been completed that added protected left turn phasing. A lot of those traffic signal modifications were because of previous studies, specifically looking at left turn violations. So Ramona, it's a real decent street in terms of providing a north-south corridor in the city. You've got schools nearby on some locations, so it's a mixed bag. But majority of it is just the volume of traffic and the unsafe speeds that typically people go.
And there's an on-ramp to the freeway.
Yes.
So a lot of people use Ramona.
At both ends, both
Yes.
to the 60 and to the 71.
Yes. Any other comments or questions? This is very interesting, Dennis. But unfortunately, some of the items that Mr. Sherman said are very problematic, and I don't think any amount of traffic calming is going to change some people's habits.
But we'll certainly try.
Yep. Unfortunately, there seems to be too many people that feel that it's their right to run red lights, especially right-hand turn lanes, or turning left even when the light is red. I don't know. The disregard for traffic laws nowadays is very, very concerning. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing these countermeasures implemented.
Thank you. Oh, and just one final note. So having now finalized the feedback from the public, will we be finalizing this document and bringing it back to City Council for final adoption?
Okay. Now, when you're going to be changing some of these intersections, are we going to be notifying the public of the changes that are coming up?
Yes, absolutely. As we prepare projects, those projects will likely be CIP projects, and so they'll go through the formal CIP process that all projects go through. What this document is really intended to do is to help us understand where some of our problem areas are and help us establish projects to address these issues and go after grant funding to help us pay for these improvements.
Okay. Thank you very much. With that, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Second from Councilperson Comstock. And the item passes unanimously. Item number 18, award of contract public parks, restroom facilities, and canopy cleaning. Award an agreement for services to Guarantee Janitorial Services Incorporated, Chino, in the amount of $203,447.52 for public parks, restroom facilities, and canopy cleaning. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Public Works Services Manager, Mr. Dave McAbee.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Currently, city staff performs the park restroom and canopy cleaning services 7 days a week for all city-maintained parks. Contracting these services with an outside service provider will allow staff to redirect their efforts to other significant daily maintenance tasks within the parks. Staff will be able to respond to emergencies and clean these areas when required between regularly scheduled contracted cleanings. Providing these additional contracted services will help to increase the level of service provided to our residents, enhancing the overall image of the city and improving the quality of life for our residents who enjoy our parks and park facilities. Therefore, specifications were prepared, and on May 23rd, 2022, a request for proposal was released and published on Planet Bids. On June 7th, 2022, the city received 6 proposals. Guaranteed Janitorial Services of Chino, California, received the highest rating, meeting all of the RFP requirements for park restroom and canopy cleaning services. References indicate that they have the necessary experience required to perform these tasks. The initial agreement term is 3 years with the option for the city to extend for 2 additional one-year periods. The extended initial term allows the city to lock in the unit prices over the life of the contract. Staff anticipates the contract will be renewed annually with the expenditures accounted for in future fiscal year budget cycles. Therefore, staff recommends awarding a contract to Guaranteed Janitorial Services in the amount of $203,047.52, along with expenditures of $20,000 for extraordinary work, for a potential annual agreement amount not to exceed $223,047.52. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Dave, how often are they going to be cleaning the restrooms?
So they will be there 7 days a week. They will, there will be a midday cleaning, and then an evening full clean, and they will lock the restroom after that evening cleaning. But 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
And how much time would you say that this was taking up of our current staff that's going to give them the ability to do other things?
That is hard to quantify at this point in time, but we know that it's going to save a huge amount of time. Hours a day are spent on just that. So that's a very hard number for me to give you at this point in time. But the key is the contractor, that is their sole purpose is that's all they will be doing. So we can put our efforts into everything else that we're doing within the parks. And I can give you a better number, I'm sure, once we get this rolled out. But it is certainly going to be a significant time saver for staff.
Okay.
Well, saving the time and then plus the extra personnel to maintain parks. I think we should very quickly get back to having very pristine parks again.
Agree.
Thank you very much. With that, I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilperson Flores, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. Item number 19, award of contract SD 223 Storm Drain Rehabilitation FY 21-22, Mountain Avenue at Chino Avenue. Award of contract to Bernardino Water Incorporated, Riverside, California, in the amount of $1,196,690 for project SD 223 Storm Drain Rehab FY 21-22, Mountain Avenue at Chino Avenue. Staff report this evening will be provided by our CIP Engineering Manager, Maria Frazier.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. The project for your consideration tonight is the Mountain Avenue Storm Drain Project SD 223, also known as System 75 in the Chino Master Plan of Drainage. The project will consist of the installation of storm drain pipe varying from 30 inches to 18 inches for approximately Bunker Hill Place, where it connects to the existing storm drain, to Mountain Avenue. The project will also include paving, curb ramps, and sidewalks. On April 21st, 2022, staff advertised the project for construction, and on June 1st, 2022, the city received 9 bids, a summary of which are included in your staff report. Condiments Water, Inc. from Riverside, California was deemed to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder with a base bid in the amount of $1,196,690. Therefore, it's staff recommendation that council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This project is anticipated to start approximately at the beginning of August and completed approximately at the end of October. This concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Council comments, questions? Entertain a motion, please.
I have a question.
Yes, go.
Sorry. Will that, Maria, will that affect the dip in any way, or will still that dip at that corner still stay like it is now?
The purpose of, the part of the scope of the work will be to remove the dip, as we have catch basins that would be on the northeast and northwest south of Mountain and Chino.
Okay, thank you.
Motion and a second, please. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson Flores. The item passes unanimously. Item number 20, introduction of ordinance number 2022-011. Approve the introduction of this ordinance relating to Assembly Bill 1276, regulating the single-use foodware accessories and standard condiments. Staff report this evening will be provided by Fred Galante, our city attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council and those in attendance. The item before you is presented pursuant to AB 1276, as you announced, Mayor. Some background: current law prohibits full-service restaurants, that is, food facilities that provide on-premises dining, from providing single-use plastic straws unless requested by a customer. The bill before us expands this requirement to prohibit food facilities, including drive-through restaurants and those that use third-party delivery platforms, from providing any single-use foodware accessory or standard condiment unless requested by a consumer. The staff report has an exhibit, an attachment from the county that gives an idea of what those particular items are. They include things such as utensils, chopsticks, condiment cups and packets, straws, stirs, even the tops of cups and coffee cups. The bill also prohibits a food facility from bundling these items together so as to prevent a consumer from taking only one item that is desired. And violations pursuant to the bill amount to infractions plus a $25 per violation fine, not to exceed $300 annually to any particular establishment. The bill excludes certain facilities such as correctional institutions, healthcare facilities, residential care facilities, and public and private school cafeterias. The bill requires cities and counties to designate an enforcement agency. City staff has been monitoring whether the county was going to proceed to do so. We did receive some indication through your Development Services Department that the county was proceeding to designate itself as the enforcement agency. On May 31st, we learned that the county Board of Supervisors actually did take the action and that they adopted a resolution confirming that the County Department of Public Health and Environmental Health Services will serve as the enforcement agency for the county. So the ordinance that is presented to this council designates the San Bernardino County Health Department as the enforcement agency. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Fred. Council comments, questions? You know,
Other than it's sad.
well,
I will say, because I understand the sentiments you have, there has been a lot of dialogue amongst various city officials, city attorney groups about whether this is even an enforceable bill. It does not provide any funding, so there's been a lot of arguments that this is an unfunded mandate. It does provide that to the extent any costs are borne by cities, they task a commission to look into this, but obviously it's a very costly process. So, you know, having to designate the city to do this is I think creates more problems, but it is not without controversy.
well, you know, again, it's another example of the state coming down with their rules and regulations on things that are, how in the world do you enforce this? I mean, in all practicality, you go to get some fast food, say you work, you go to lunch, you know, you get something and you have to eat it in your car and you come back and say it's soup or something. You just eat it with your hands. I mean, there's no condiments, right? No utensils, no straws.
Unless requested by the consumer.
Unless requested,
but
specifically requested.
sometimes consumers don't know to ask, so yeah, it will require a lot of education.
And then, like Karen brought up, state has excluded itself,
Correction
right?
institutions, schools, yeah.
Right.
So the state doesn't have to comply, but everybody else does.
And just during the pandemic, Mayor, we forced people to go to single-use things, and all of our restaurants invested a tremendous amount of money to do so.
Right.
And it's just, now we're contradicting ourselves. So to our local businesses out there, I'll apologize, but just, keep operating and wait for those requests, and thank you for your cooperation to this legislation.
All right.
With that, before the council is ordinance number 2022-011, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino designating the County of San Bernardino as enforcement agency for the implementation of AB 1276, regulating single-use foodware accessories and standard condiments. And that's reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you.
Okay, need a motion and a second, please. Nobody wants to make a motion. Okay, Fred, if we don't make a motion in a second,
So-
vote.
So the
Oh, my-
the legislation requires cities and counties to adopt this ordinance by June 1st, frankly. But I would say less than half of the jurisdictions have done so. I presented it to you. There doesn't seem to be any drawback, any penalties in the legislation for a city not doing this.
I say we don't do it until they force us to do it.
Let's pull it.
Whether the county even takes aggressive action also remains to be seen if you designate them, but
As if there aren't a lot more important things to handle right now.
I get the
We're gonna-
popular report.
We're going to pull this item. Thank you very much. Good heavens. Okay, next item on the agenda is mayor and council reports. I have two items. Item number 21 is my community support contribution list. I'm not going to go through and list it all, but I always wait till the last minute to practically do it all. So my list is on the agenda. I would like to ask for a motion and a second to approve the list. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Flores, and the item passes unanimously. Item number 22, reappointments, Community Services Commission. This is to ratify the reappointments of Linda Takeuchi and Neil Jerry to the Community Services Commission. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second, please, to approve these reappointments. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilperson Comstock. And the item passes unanimously. Linda, Neil, would you please come up? Angela's going to administer the oath to you. Yes, very nice.
I, Neil Jerry, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All for you to say a few words.
Not really. I hadn't expected to, but I find it such an honor to be able to serve our community this way. It really has been a great joy for me the entire time I've been on the commission. Thank you for your reappointment.
You're welcome. And Linda, just so the audience knows, Linda's first involvement with our council was a long, long time ago when she came to the city and asked for the Tiny Tots program.
Yes,
Linda, what year was that?
It was 1989.
1989. So she's been involved in our community since then. Let's give her a hand.
And for once, I'll make it quick, but I want to thank you all. This is really the greatest city in the country, and the support that we have from the council and the support that I have from this commission is phenomenal. And I'm the new guy, so to have these veterans with me, they've supported me every step of the way. So thank you for bringing me back, and I really appreciate what you all do. And I'll continue to serve with 100% of everything I have.
Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your volunteerism. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the rest of my report, I'll go through very quickly. Thursday, June 9th, I attended the San Bernardino County Transportation Association Metro Valley Committee meeting. Tuesday, June 14th, City of Chino Special Council meeting where the appointment of Dr. Linda Reich as city manager will be effective August 8th, 2022, contingent upon approval of the employment contract to be presented at the July 5th regular meeting of the City Council. Wednesday, June 15th, the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. Thursday, June 16th, virtually attended the Watermaster Appropriative Pool Confidential Session and the Advisory Committee. Saturday, June 18th, I attended the Chino Community Garden Grape Trellis Ribbon Cutting with Councilmember Chris Flores. Pressed Juicery from Chino Hills donated $3,000 to Healthy Chino to be used toward the purchase of the new grape trellises. Maria Alcazar from Pressed Juicery, she was the store manager, was there to receive a certificate of appreciation. And then I want to wish my husband a very happy 47th anniversary. And again, that man deserves a trophy, trust me. And I also want to wish Linda and Martin Takeuchi a happy anniversary as well. We're 47 years, they're 53 years. Oh. So I'd like to give them a congratulations. One thing about Chino, we have longevity. And I want to thank all the citizens that voted for Measure Y. I know it was rather controversial, but if we had not voted that measure in, the state of California could have come in and made the decision on where this housing density would have been placed. And none of us wanted to see that. So thank you very, very much for your confidence in us and understanding that we had no choice in putting this housing where we did, but at least we made the decision with your help and not the state of California. So thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Lucio.
I'm going to make mine short as well. I'm not going to report on any of the meetings, but I just wanted to say that what a difference 2 years makes. Because 2 years ago when we went to adopt this budget, we had quite a few people that came out and spoke with us wanting to defund the police department here. Of course, we didn't do it. We continued on funding our police department. We're fortunate enough not to have a city that's overridden by crime as a result of that. And we continue to support our police department. So it's good to see that 2 years later, people have realized that defunding the police hasn't worked in any city. It's been a complete failure. So I'm glad that nobody has continued to come up and protested our annual budgets with asking for us to defund them. And that's all I wanted to say. And then obviously my wife's birthday is coming up on the 30th, and I want to wish her a happy birthday. That's all I have.
Great. Councilmember Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to keep my comments short tonight as well. In just the comments that the Mayor Pro Tem made tonight. For me, there's a lot of people that asked me why I decided to run for City Council almost 2 years ago now. And while I was sitting at my house watching people talk about defunding the police and doing different things to law enforcement across not just the state but also the nation, it was sort of a call to order for me. And I actually had people during, while I was out meeting people and talking about my campaign, telling me that they were happy that I was running for council because that they knew that I would, if elected and trusted by the people, help to defend our police department and our first responders. So I agree with all those comments that have been made tonight. I don't want to cover any of my meetings because, Mayor, I wanted to keep it short for you and your anniversary. Happy anniversary, Mayor. We're happy for you. I told you my joke earlier. I'm sure you'll share it with Bob. I also
Why don't you share it with him?
Okay, well, first, the mayor, of course, has been married for 47 years, and I told her, oh, Mayor, I'm sure it just feels like 47 minutes, right, Mayor?
Right, Karen? Underwater.
Yes, there you go. So, anyway, Bob, I hope you're watching. I hope you get some humor out of that. But, well, what a great relationship and a great family you have, Mayor, so congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations to, obviously, Neil, Jerry, and Linda on their reappointments. And I certainly want to say congratulations to our incoming city manager and Dr. Linda Reich. That was a very competitive process, so I'm happy to bring you on board. Congratulations, Linda. I know you're going to lead the city into the future and not just what our community wants, our residents wants, but our businesses, as well as the vision that the council has for this community. And I want to thank you, Anthony, for doing a great job as our interim city manager as we transition. So thank you, Anthony. That concludes my comments tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Flores, you also have item number 23.
Yes, and I'd like to ask the council for their support in my contributions to the Chino Youth Museum and the Chino's Girls Fast Pitch Softball.
Okay, motion and a second. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. Rest of your report, please.
Well, there's a theme going on here, so I got to kind of keep with the theme, and I'm going to keep this short. I just want to report one of the meetings that I attended was the two big ones, a skate day at Ayala Park. I mean, I had an amazing time out there, and thank you to Unite LA for their, partnership. And that same day, as the mayor mentioned, I was at the grape trellis ribbon cutting. And thank you to Press Juicery for coming out and supporting. One question I asked is, Press Juicery, they're from Chino Hills. And I said, from Chino Hills, and you're dedicating this to the city of Chino. And they gave me the reasons why. But to that, I just want to say some comments to Mr. Art Bennett. I'm happy you got your raise, and I hope you enjoy that. With that being said, Richard Sherman, thank you for coming out and speaking and sharing your comments. Congratulations to Linda and Neil, and happy anniversary, Mayor Eunice. And you mentioned that Bob definitely deserves a trophy, and I got to say the rest of this council deserves a trophy as well. we love you, Mayor Eunice.
Zing.
That concludes my comments.
You got me. Councilmember Pocock.
Oh, thank you. Short report as well. On the 9th, I had a meeting with the acting city manager. On the 14th, special meeting when we selected our city manager. And on the 16th, I met again with our acting city manager. And last night on the 20th was a long, grueling planning commission meeting that lasted till 10:30. Was very interesting, very dramatic meeting. And happy anniversary to Mayor and Bob and Linda Takeuchi. Congratulations to Linda Wright, our new city manager. And don't forget, folks, concerts are on Thursday nights right out here on the lawns, and movies on Friday night right out here on the lawns, and both events are quality events. It's good movies and very good bands. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Anthony, any city managers' reports?
No, nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Fred, anything from the city attorney?
No report. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Wes is out of town.
His last week.
His last week.
My last week in this in the
Kevin.
acting role. So no, just mayor and members of the council, I just want to thank you. Obviously, you made the comments of supporting the police department, so that we do not take that for granted. We know, unfortunately, some cities do not have the support of the council, so thank you for that. But I do want to talk briefly about the 4th of July. It is less than 2 weeks away, and as Councilmember Comstock refers to, it's Chino's Mardi Gras. So talk a little bit about what the Chino Police Department's doing. Our special enforcement team's conducting undercover buys of people selling illegal fireworks online. We actually did 2 operations this afternoon where we purchased just nearly 100 pounds of illegal fireworks. So we're doing that. Starting this past weekend, we have officers working in the field specifically assigned to enforcing illegal fireworks. And then on the 4th of July, we have 62 officers working a variety of assignments from patrol to firework cars, to our drone team will be up, to DUIs. We want everybody to have a happy 4th of July, but to celebrate safely. And then just lastly, our prayers go out to the El Monte Police Department and the 2 officers that were tragically murdered last Tuesday. So we actually sent a couple officers for the procession from the hospital to the coroner's office last week, and then we have a contingent of officers going to the memorial, which is being held on Thursday, June 30th at the Toyota Arena in Ontario. So that concludes my comments, unless you have any questions.
I don't have a question, but Kevin, you do, obviously, the police department has the council support, but more importantly, you have the community support. And unlike a lot of other communities that don't support their police department, every time anything negative is said about your department, our community comes out in support, and that speaks volumes for the quality of officers that we have and the admin in the police department. So, congratulations and thank you to everyone in the department for everything that you do for our community. And thanks to the community for supporting the department, because it has to be team. It has to be a team for this to work.
And it is, and something, we've hired a lot of new officers recently. As a matter of fact, with the chief being out of town, Lieutenant Murata and I had the opportunity to take 5 of our newest police officers out to lunch. It's kind of a tradition that we do just prior to their graduation. They graduated the police academy this past Thursday, and we talk about that community and investing in the community and just the support that the community has. And it's I mean, it was something, we're talking about this at lunch, and then some random person paid for the 7 of our lunch that afternoon. So it was a perfect example of how we showed them, and they got to see it firsthand. So it is something that we instill in our new police officers from the day that they're hired.
Well, you know, it's interesting because there was an incident that happened the other day at a restaurant with a new officer, and I explained to the waitress, it's a mindset. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's the way the police department is, and new people coming in, especially from large cities, don't understand that relationship until they work with you and get to see it firsthand. And then they understand the difference in Chino and assimilate into the culture instead of trying to change it. And I pray that never changes, because we have something very special in our community and we need to treasure it.
We definitely do.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Carlos. I guess the fire chief is out too, right?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, staff, and community members. As the season is transitioning to summer, we encourage community members to be aware of the heat-related exposures and illnesses. For example, heat exhaustion, which is an exposure to excessive heat, can directly or indirectly cause pre-existing conditions to worsen. Some symptoms include muscle cramping, fatigue, headache, nausea, vomiting, and dizziness. In addition, untreated heat exhaustion may lead to heat stroke, producing life-threatening conditions. These illnesses can be avoided by simply hydrating and protecting yourself from extreme temperatures. The district has 7 firefighter paramedics, 2 mechanics, and an HR director currently proceeding through the hiring process. The current ambulance assistance by hire agreement remains in place with AMR, while San Bernardino County works through a long-term solution for medical transport. The fire district and San Bernardino County have entered into a cost-share partnership for a new Class 3 firefighting apparatus stationed at the Chino Airport at Station 63. The new unit will have aircraft firefighting capabilities, but can also be used in the city for larger scale fires that require foam, such as fuel tanker fires. And as you're aware, we had 2 plane crash incidents at the Chino Airport yesterday. The fire district's weed abatement contractor has started clearing non-compliant parcels related to the district's vegetation management ordinance. If residents have complaints about particular parcels, they can contact our weed abatement line at area code 909-902-5285. And finally, the fire district will be hosting a fireworks safe surrender event on Saturday, July 9th, between 9 a.m. and 12 at the training center located at 5092 Schaefer Avenue. No questions asked. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes our meeting, but since Chris brought it up, I think I should address the article in the Chino Champion where a neighboring council member made a disparaging remark about our council, that the gentleman felt that they deserved a 30% raise because they work harder than the City of Chino Council. I beg to differ you. We just happen to know what we're doing, and maybe we're just more efficient. So congratulations on your 30% raise, but honey, you can't compete with us. With that, we are adjourned until our regular meeting on July 5th.